Hey there, and welcome to the Brittany Wheeler Show. Join Brittany as she interviews incredible people whose stories will uplift you and remind you the life you long for is just ahead. Buckle up for an inspirational ride to your best life. Take it away, Britt.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Brittany Wheeler Show. Thank y'all for coming back, for listening, for clicking on this YouTube video, for clicking on this podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. And I'm just so grateful to have you coming back. If this is your first time, welcome. And I hope that what you hear, you really understand why we do what we do here on the show, why we want to bless one person, why I interview ordinary people live extraordinary lives. And if it's your multiple umpteenth time, however many episodes in, I just want to thank you. And I'm super grateful that you are so loyal and that you continue to see the value in what we're doing. And I really appreciate it. Today's guest, if you're on YouTube, you can see her. Her hair looks incredible. She's just glowing and stunning. And I'm just really excited for today's conversation because this is one of those people that I was introduced to through a friend. And so this conversation is going to be an opportunity for me to get to just be like the audience, really listening and paying attention. So I want to introduce her so we can get talking about the meat and potatoes of the thing. So she is a wife, a mother, a daughter, a sister, friend, a school counselor, an educator, an entrepreneur. And you will hear the servant heart in her as she talks. And most importantly, a sister in Christ. Please welcome Sarah Woods to the Brittany Wheeler Show. Welcome.
Hi. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. And I know that we have had to reschedule and there's just, life happening. And I'm grateful for you just pushing through and being like, no matter what, I'm going to be on this show. It means a lot to me, your commitment and belief in what we're doing.
Absolutely. It's an honor to be here. Seriously. Thank you.
You're so welcome. This next segment that we transition to is an opportunity for my guests. So a lot of my guests, like Meg, who is your friend, right? I knew her already. So when I interviewed her, it was really like, how did we meet? But as I have new guests that come on the show that I don't know, and we've literally met once, you guys, this is not like you're going to hear our conversation and be like, only once? It seems like they've known each other for a lot longer. But that's those beautiful moments when you meet someone and you just instantly connect, right? So I'm going to pass to you. Obviously, we didn't meet in some crazy thing. We were introduced by Meg, but you can decide to share either a story or why did you say yes to being on the show? I love this new question that I started.
Well, first of all, I love the domino effect of people meeting people. And that is exactly what happened. Customer introduced me to another customer who introduced me to Meg. I'm sure that there were many dominoes before I got to Meg, who introduced me to you. So I love the way people connect people. And I love how entrepreneurship can do that too. So with that being said, I definitely, after listening to you and having this amazing conversation that I did feel like we talked for like an hour.
Yeah, we really did.
So I immediately felt connected to you. But I really, anytime I can have the opportunity to share life experiences that might help someone, I love the saying, you grow through what you go through. And so anytime I can share something that has happened in my life or a way that I've overcome something, help someone else, usually weeds overtake the garden. Well, we want the flowers to overtake the garden. So I want that opportunity to help other people grow and bloom. And if my story can do that, then that's amazing.
It's so beautiful. Thank you for saying yes, because that's what we do here, and it just blows me away at how many responses and, text messages between guests and their friends and other people that reach out of nowhere, that are just like, thank you for doing this episode. Thank you for sharing with me. And I just love that God is at the helm of this and he is just magnifying this far, far beyond I could ever imagine. And it's been a really incredible journey. And I know your story is going to just be incredible for me to experience firsthand, but also for the audience and for those that know you and love you. Get a chance to hear from your own heart, without sitting at the dinner table, right? To be able to hear you. So I really want you to share with the audience, Who was Sarah as a young girl growing up in Kentucky?
Okay. The first thing that comes to mind is tomboy, but like girly tomboy. I
Yeah.
don't know if that's a real thing. But we're gonna call it
For
that
you, it is. Yes.
because I really think that that's kind of what it was. Because I was climbing trees, riding bikes, riding horses. When I was really young, both of my parents, even though they weren't together, they both lived on farms. So I was, with chickens, playing in corn cribs, pulling tobacco plants. I mean, um, my dad lived next to this small little clear stream, and then so we would play in that. My step grandparents, though, lived next to a creek where you can't see the bottom of, and I don't play in that. I want to see what's in the water. So there comes the girly part. Like there's like I'm all about lots of things, but there's places where I draw the line, right?
Same, same. Can't see the bottom? Sorry, I can't happen to go into that today.
And I'll a quick story about that. So my stepbrother and my step cousins um went on this huge journey from the back of where we lived to my step grandparents' house, following the creek. They were in the creek the whole time. When they got to, I of course didn't go because that's gross. And when they got back, they had leeches on them. I'm like,
Of course they did.
that's why I'm not getting in that water. Like that's disgusting.
How long do you think that trip was? Like,
Maybe a couple hours, I'd
okay.
say.
So like a couple of miles there and back, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Now,
Wow.
I could ride my bike on the main roads, and I don't remember how long it would take, but I'd say, yeah, at least a mile or 2. Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess
Ooh.
I if you like that stuff, you like who am I
Yeah,
to
I mean, good for
yeah.
go for it.
Yeah, but I'll be cheering you on from the porch, or the comfort of the couch, maybe the
The
lawn.
tree branches that
Absolutely.
kinda overhung the creek, I would do that, but yeah, no. Mm-mm.
I love that.
Um, but let's see, what else can I say about living in Kentucky? I spent a lot of time with my grandparents on both sides, which was such a blessing. I was the oldest on my mom's side of the family, and then the youngest by far on my dad's side of the family. So two very extremes and two very different families. So um my mom's parents would take me to play tennis. I still am not good. Golf, swim. I remember when getting Baskin Robbins and window shopping with them, things like that. And then my dad's parents, I would fish with and can and bake with and things like that. So
Mm.
just
Yeah, very different socioeconomic backgrounds, right?
yes,
Like
for sure.
definitely based on where they were putting their money and time and or just, the jobs they had, right? But how cool, right? To know that there's probably elements of yourself that love that like let's, make jam and let's go berry picking and let's have a garden that like potentially is like really fulfilling. But you also equally love the let's go window shopping, right? And get ice cream and, you know, play like, different outdoor games and things like that.
I wish that I did more can. I don't can, and I totally wish that I have this huge desire to start to do those things, and keep those memories alive of, those times that I spent.
This is it then. The Brittany Wheeler show is the catalyst, right? Like I'll be checking in with you, being like, so what did you can this season, Sarah? What's on the docket? What are and it's one of those things where I feel like things like canning, baking bread, some of those like from scratch things are genuinely hard because of that mental battle of like getting over the doing of it because there is a lot of prep, right? Like there is a lot of time, canning is about going to get the jars and finding and sourcing the fruits and veggies and making sure you have a process. And then a lot of it's trying what doesn't work until you find out what does, and that
Yeah.
part can be daunting. That part can be overwhelming, and challenging.
Yeah, but I think it will totally be worth it. Like,
Oh, yeah.
so worth it. We would go to Wisconsin every year, for when I was really young for family reunions. And, we would fish on Lake Michigan. My grandfather had a boat there, and, they would can all the salmon that we got. So that was one thing, like salmon patties were were a total year-round thing
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
that.
Do they taste good? Question.
Yeah, like, I mean, yeah, fried with ketchup.
Okay. Okay, so
Yeah.
don't have the fresh salmon in my mind. Just make
No,
sure there's
completely different,
ketchup.
like
Just the fish in a can, basically. Is that's what I'm
Yeah.
getting at.
Yeah, it's like like, you do add some breadcrumbs maybe to
Okay.
it, so, yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll wait to come to your house to try that. You can make that for me. One of the things that I loved in our first conversation and just being able to chat was just, and I know the audience is feeling it right now, there's just this deeply rooted sense of kindness that embodies you. It's something that I experienced just within the first few minutes. And it's something that I know the audience is genuinely feeling and will feel. And I just know it's something that really matters to you. It's who you are. You're someone that cares about the little things and making someone feel seen and heard. Who modeled that kind of kindness for you?
That is a really good question. I feel like so often we see positives and negatives from all sorts of people in our lives, especially the people that raise us, our immediate family,
Mm,
um, and and the school experiences that we have too. Like, just as much as somebody can model kindness, you can also, I feel like, model, oh, wait, I don't want to do that when I'm an adult, or I don't want to act like that or make those choices, or, a long list of things. So I think it can work both ways. Um, and, true kindness, I feel like, comes from when somebody doesn't have to be kind to you. Like, there's, you know, my parents are kind to me. They're my parents, right? Um, but then when somebody is kind to you and they have no responsibility, they're not related to you, they just love you because God put them there for whatever reason in that season that they're there. Um, Gosh, there are so many people that I feel like throughout my life, throughout my childhood, even into my adult life, God has placed specific people that have modeled and just wrapped me in Christ's love when I have needed it the most. Um, One person does really stick out to me, and unfortunately, she has passed away. But I never really got to tell her, like as an adult, got to tell her the impact that she made on me. I'm trying not to cry.
Mhm.
Um, but I did wind up sharing with her husband. I did once I found out that she had passed away. But um, like high school age, we had a neighbor that lived really close to us, and I would babysit for them. Um, and she would go on walks with me, just talk with me, really just a mentor and invested time in me. She'd pick me up from cheer practice. Like, I remember she made my 16th birthday cake.
Mm.
Just She was just really, really special. And she was somebody who totally modeled that. God put her
Yeah.
in my life when I needed someone close to me the most.
Yeah.
Um, and just looking back again, that kindness didn't have to happen. So that to me instills like kids that I don't know. Um, like getting to know them and sharing. Usually when kids, especially um, kids in an alternative education setting, when they first meet me, um, I almost even start out with, I'm here with you today, but my life has not been unicorns and rainbows and
Yeah.
sunshine throughout. Like,
Yeah.
um, I had to work to be here.
Mhm.
Um, and I want them to know that because their choices define
Yeah.
where they go. So, just yeah. I hope that I thank you for recognizing that in me, I guess. I I hope that God uses me to be that same person in other lives. Like,
Mhm.
originally, a long time ago, um, I knew I wanted to be that person to help kids somehow, help them with trauma, help them with family issues. Um, and I thought like being a lawyer was the way to go. Like, I would so be a terrible lawyer. Like, I would be the poorest lawyer. Like,
So funny.
it would just have been so bad. Um, so as time went on, like I even started college as pre-law. I'm still sorry, I'm still laughing. It's just ridiculous. I don't normally like to talk in front of large crowds. Like it would have just been a disaster. But I just knew that I wanted to help people. Um, in and out throughout, especially my early childhood, my parents, I lived back and forth, back and forth, back
Yeah.
and forth. Um, you know, they both wanted me. We'll go.
Yeah. 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 That's a product of divorced life, like that is
Yes.
it is there's really no way to make it great, and I think it just takes I was a product of 3 divorces. My parents got divorced when I was 7, my mom and my stepdad got divorced when I was 16, and my dad got divorced from my stepmom when I was 26. It doesn't get easier. It's challenging, but I think that ultimately when it comes to those situations, it's like if both parents can participate and contribute, then, that part of the sharing of custody can go as best as possible, right? There's so many other dynamics to divorce, but it's challenging.
It is. And when there is so much history that is really bad,
Yeah.
it is difficult. It's difficult for I'm an only child. Um and th- that was difficult to handle because there was a lot of I don't know how to word, but I don't want to say I don't want to use the word hate because I don't feel like that's the right word.
Mhm.
Just not camaraderie and coming
Yeah.
together.
Yeah, yeah.
It was very difficult.
Yeah.
Um, but throughout that, there were so many times through those custody battles where I had to see social workers and psychologists and counselors. Um, and once I really started looking back, thinking about seeing all those people, because like I remember one that had gray socks and penny loafers. I don't know why I remember that about that person, but
So funny.
that is what I remember. And that doesn't seem like a real great thing to, to remember to me.
Yeah.
And then there was another that like I drew a purple people eater, completely psychoanalyzed it. I was little, so for me being 48 years old now, remember how
Yeah.
much that was psychoanalyzed, like, that really stuck with me, like, man, it's just a drawing, like, it's literally a song.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then there was one, um, that I have learned that my mom hired separately that was a play therapy,
Mm.
um, therapist, and was a totally different setting and a totally different vibe. And So after my eyes were awakened
Yeah.
and, God and I had some conversations, I realized that law was not the direction I needed to go. And I kind of set some goals for myself, like think pyramid.
Yeah.
So I became a teacher. And my goal from teaching was to then get a master's degree in school counseling and then a rank one. And my ultimate plan was to have my own practice someday. But, I'm good with not having my own practice someday.
Yeah, and as we experience those different things too, like, I think there's definitely like a childlike idea. I mean, like when I first was thinking about what I wanted to do, a friend of mine, the episode just came out a couple weeks ago, but a middle school friend of mine and I were talking about how we both wanted to be like we were both so influenced by Law and Order Special Victims Unit, and I
I
wanted to be a
mean,
prosecution lawyer for the Special Victims Unit, NYPD. I don't know what I thought they actually did because when I actually got a grasp of what they do, I was like, no, I am not a lawyer. My sister's a lawyer. She's great at it. I was like, I am not a lawyer. But I think there's a sense of like dramatization and childlike wonder that we just twist a little bit. And I even saw that in my own life, my undergrad in education and just seeing the way that my grandmother ran a classroom and how she loved on children and what she got to do in the classroom. I took that, I dramatized it, I put my spin on it. And when I actually went to school for it and started to see how those things played out, how I felt in those spaces and how I felt in the curriculum, how I felt student teaching was very different than what she experienced, right? So I think what you're sharing is just it's just a natural process, but also a beautiful example of, yeah, you went through some tough things. Like divorce is hard and our parents are broken people. My parents, please add them to the list. They're doing the best that they can with all the things that they have. And so it's like, but even amongst that, you took all of these beautiful moments and were like, okay, I think I could actually do this. Like I want to help where I was. I want to be a light and be an example and be love for others. And you had mentioned even a little bit earlier of just like kindness in those people. And I love talking about, my life as a mosaic painting and how, so many people, because, we can share the common understanding of divorce, right? And just it is challenging. And like I just shared like 3 different divorces. And even when I was lacking, or even when my mom was a full-time working mom and wasn't able to be present, and my dad wasn't necessarily as present, and, my alcoholic stepdad, all these things, God was so intentional about putting people, like you mentioned, in places to fill those voids, right? Because you know, w we still lacked in those seasons because it wasn't necessarily our parents' idea. They didn't want that for us, but when divorce happens, people go back to work, both people are having to provide, and so the whole dynamic changes, and I've just been so fortunate, and I'm so observant now, like you had just shared, of the men and women that God has put, and particularly for me, men, because I have had a God-sized hole of daddy issues, and I'm very aware of who has been placed in my life at certain parts. And they're not all father figures. They're friends, they're husbands of my best friends, and getting to watch them love well, right? And be kind. So I love that you mentioned about all the different people and just how that has made a difference for you and also framed what you ended up doing. And the other thing that I came to mind when you were talking was if you're listening to this episode and there is somebody in your life that has added value to you, whether it was 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, 20 seconds ago, tell them because you just heard from Sarah's lips. She missed the opportunity to share how this incredible woman had an impact on her. And while it is going to be okay and there's no harm from that, got to share with her husband, obviously. Like there's so many of us that we don't take that extra time. And it's been a common thread actually in the past probably 5 or 6 months of these episodes that has popped up randomly of tell people, tell people what they've done for you and how they value you. Because more than likely, those people are not doing it for those reasons. But because of those reasons, that person hearing from you the love and kindness they showed fuels them and completes them and gives them wholeness to keep moving forward. And And that's that beautiful symbiotic relationship of when someone is being kind because they believe it's the right thing, and someone that receives kindness shares that how kindness has impacted them. It's like an interwoven currency, right? That just feeds itself. I don't know what is going on with my hand motions, but I am all about
I'm doing
this.
it.
Whatever it is, my hands are twisting, and I'm like interwoven.
Yeah, all the things. It just mixes together.
It just mixes together. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
really does. Within the last year, I had a student make a post on a former student who is an adult now. Um, I I had him in 3rd grade. Um, might be, I don't know, 23, 24, 25. Um, but gosh, I love all my students, but he, I I just remember always like, "You're gonna do great things," which I tell them all, but I really he came from he had his own set of home stuff, and I just tried to tell him that all the time, and he made the most beautiful Facebook post about me. Um, I have, like, copied it and
Mm,
put
so
it in my
sweet.
notes on my phone. Like, at one point, it was, "If you ever question that you've gone into the wrong field," like, it was just precious, and, so often, especially, I feel like elementary teachers, because kids are so young, when you have them, you don't always
Yeah.
get that, right? Um, and and we do make a c lots of big differences, but they have so many other people that have
Yeah.
touched their lives
The
and
return on investment's a little bit later, right? We're talking about 10, 15 years down the
right?
road, right? Yeah.
So when that comes along, yeah, it is super special as somebody that has received that and not been able to give it both, you know, it is it means a lot. And who knows, it might come at just the right time. Um, you know, sometimes I'm no different than anybody else. I have a lot of insecurities. Um, One of the things that I didn't mention as a girl growing up in Kentucky is I've been pretty insecure my whole life, like, don't have a lot of self-confidence, and that has come a long way in the last several years. Um, Super quiet, backward shy, all the things. But, yeah, I don't know where I was going with that.
Well, it's interesting because I love that.
Sorry.
No, don't be sorry. It's interesting because we often think we need to be more than we are to do the jobs that we are called to do or that add value to the community or that make a difference. But yet it's not only all the things that we already all are, but it's all the things that we are not that make us perfectly equipped, right? Just thinking about your own profession, like if you walked into those spaces with this very inauthentic confidence and this ability to almost push children away, then you actually probably wouldn't have gotten that Facebook post. And who knows what other children you would not have been able to connect with on a deeper level because of the things that you are working through, the things that you are and the things that you are not. And if we spend more time just trying not to be the things that we are not and just focus on the things that we are, there's this sense of beauty and peace and wholeness that we can live in that is so fulfilling. And I don't know who needs to hear that because I'm reminded of that all the time. And my word for the year in 2025 is shalom. And all of my brokenness. Is that your word?
Hold on.
Okay, I'm holding.
Not beautiful, but, it was my word last year.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
beautiful.
Did that.
Oh
It's
my
not like
gosh.
I'm
Oh
not,
my
like,
gosh.
super talented, but yes, that was my word last year, and I almost just kept it for another year. Um, so, yeah, I love the word.
Love
Love
the
it.
yes, that word is it's meaning so much because the idea and if you couldn't see, if you're listening to the recording, it was a beautiful painting of mountains and just this like river flowing kind of idea of color underneath and the word shalom. And what I understand about the word shalom is it's broken pieces coming together whole. And how, it blows my mind when I read that, because I just felt very convicted to choose that word last fall as we were entering the end of 2024. And I chose the word. And it's funny because I have like well, we'll see how it goes mentality. So I chose the word really without looking at the definition too much. But I felt so convicted. I was like, all right, I'm trusting this conviction. And I look at the definition of shalom and I was like, oh my gosh, that's literally me, right? All of these different pieces that are broken, right? I am not complete. I am not perfect. I am not fixed. Sarah is not complete, not perfect, not fixed, but she is beautiful in her brokenness, right? And so I feel like that is something that hopefully that people are listening need to hear, is that, just you will be used and you can still help people with all the things that you're not as much as all the things that you are.
Amen. You truly can. And like God's the potter. We're the clay. He makes beauty from ashes. Like he can do so much with all of our pieces. And we are um I posted something yesterday about just finding the beauty. My word for this week, I do a word for the week too, but it is beauty. Like find the beauty in where you are. Life is messy, relationships are messy, your past is messy, your future is probably going to be messy. Um, but there is beauty in all of it.
Yeah.
We just have to take that time and trust God's process in that, because there's going to be lots of things that are uncomfortable in life, in order to create in us who we're meant to be. I've had so many situations, even throughout my professional career, that have been so hard. Um, you know, self-esteem down at the bottom. Um, and just trying to live up to other people's version of who I should be. But at the end of the day, realizing the only person I need to live up to is the person God wants me to be.
Absolutely.
And that's a hard, hard lesson. Um, One of the last positions I had took hours. Like I spent hours trying to make everyone in the building happy. It took time away from my family. It took a mental toll on me. It took a toll. Like I'm the person, if I'm struggling, I don't eat. So I was like, my health was bad because I was too tiny, like all of the things. And at the end of the day, I just needed to be what God needed me to be in that situation.
Mm.
And each of those people that I felt like I needed to be more for, it wasn't even, there wasn't about me. It was about whatever they were going through. It was just
Yeah.
projected on me.
1000%. 1000.
So hindsight, I can totally see that. But when you're living in it, it's definitely hard. But that's the lesson that
Yeah.
I learned and how I grew throughout that time
Yeah. Yeah.
is, and I've been able to give that advice hopefully to other people. Like I've had conversations with other people along those same lines. Like
Yeah. It's
it,
not you. Yeah, and there's
right.
such a sense of spiritual, there's such an element of enemy warfare that I am very aware of, that I'm very intentional about just being present with, knowing that, a lot of the times, uh, the enemy is in a lot of the things that we're receiving or that we're, experiencing, and so it is when you can see enemy warfare. And I was just saying this, I was on a guest on a podcast a couple hours ago, I was just sharing, like, I think it's easy to just be like, enemy. Oh, okay, great. But when you turn the enemy into something tangible, like, I love thinking the enemy is like Voldemort from Harry Potter. It is such an easy, tangible, visual, very recognizable, right, character. And when you can do that, just like how we think about fear, right? Fear isn't tangible, but when you think about where fear comes from and it doesn't come from God, but it comes from the enemy, aka Voldemort, right? Then you're like, huh, okay, I can tackle that because it's no longer this just like floating existence. Mentally, you're tackling a thing and you're like, oh no, not today, Satan, right? So
Yeah.
in that experience that you had, just what was sitting with me is, and I've experienced my own set of spiritual warfare recently, is I can see so clearly how maybe it's not that person's heart, it's not their character, but all of a sudden they're acting in ways that don't add up. They're saying things that don't line. And it's easy for us to react in those moments because those are the moments where doubt, fear, the enemy controlled feelings, right, are getting a foothold. And then that is where you are a recipient of that too. So I think it's so important in those moments to just be aware that, like, we are not battling each other, like, you're not battling Jenny. I don't even know if Jenny's a person's name. I should use the name. You're not battling Jenny, right? You're battling Jenny's insecurities and doubt and fear that have nothing to do with her, that were not created by her, right? And so I think that's powerful because then what you can do in your processing, right? You can do in just how you even allow those emotions to connect with you. I think when we are walking through day-to-day life, we can choose to accept somebody's actions and feelings and words, or we cannot. But we won't be able to have that decision if we don't recognize whether it's good and there's goodness throughout it, or if this is potentially harmful and hurtful. And I think that we will walk in these spaces and receive things that are not going to serve us because they're rooted from something else. But we have just as much power as individuals to say, no, I don't want to hear that. And obviously do things gracefully, right? But it, you know, not necessarily engaging fully in what that person is saying and guarding your heart because words matter, right? They make a difference. And so yeah, you learn so much from that experience. And it's interesting you talked about, this experience. I'd love to know, where have you seen God work in your life, at a time that because of your relationship with Jesus, you have seen mountains move. Like, I think that's I would love to hear what you will get to share with that.
Can okay. So I'll share two.
Okay.
Because I feel like I need to share something related to what we're talking about, but then there's something completely
Yeah,
different,
please go.
um, that is just, yeah, God. Like, there's no other way to explain it but God. Um, but in all of, like, the last situation, I was so determined to be successful, whatever that looked like. That, like I said, it was taking time just away from the people that I cared about the
Yeah.
most. Um, and and even like you're talking about not engaging or protecting yourself, from I'll go back a little bit. From an early age, like when I was really young, I went to like country church VBS. I My mom is Lutheran, and
Yeah.
actually my dad was too. Um, so I did a lot in the Lutheran church through my mom's parents, and then when my dad wound up um, converting to non-denominational,
Okay.
so I went to church with him a lot, and honestly, um, that was my route to really knowing Christ was through my dad. My dad led me in the sinner's prayer. Um so forever grateful for that because I wouldn't be anywhere without God.
Mm.
Nowhere. Um but even to the point of, and I wasn't really good about this. I know that it's a podcast, so not everybody can see. If they can see, my dad always talked about putting on the armor of God, and I've been really trying to be diligent in doing that every day. Because that goes into like we are going out into the world and we do need that protection. And we are being fed lies from Satan all the time, and how people perceive us. But again, going back, what matters is how God perceives us, um, because everybody's opinion is different.
Yeah.
God,
Yeah.
God's doesn't change.
Right.
He is
Right.
ever the same. Um, so I will say the first story is just opening doors and opening my heart that was not willing to move. Like, I was like, "I am not moving.
Right. Yeah, I'm still.
Staying here. This is where you put me."
Yeah.
And I think I may have shared with you, what my husband said to me, and it still sticks out. Like, I would say, "You're supposed to bloom where you're planted. I'm gonna bloom where I'm planted." And Mark said, "Sarah, sometimes plants get root bound and they need to be transplanted."
So good.
Was so good.
Snaps for Mark. Snaps for Mark.
Absolutely. For sure, because obviously it really hit home. Now, it may not have hit home that very day, but I kept hearing it in my head.
Yeah.
And, I do also feel like, if you don't make a decision, um, there wasn't necessarily no decision was made for me, but it got to the point where I was like, "Okay,
Yep.
let's start looking for something else," you know? Like, this is not like, just realizing God helped me realize. It wasn't through fun things that he helps me
Right.
realize, but, I mean, I might still be there today
Right.
if certain things hadn't played out
Yeah.
and, that were hard. And, even there was some relationship, like, um, mm, not arguments, but maybe just not
Disagreements.
agreeing disagreements with people that I normally actually had really great relationships with and now do again, but it was just like it just like there was 1 week, it
Yeah.
just felt like one fire after another, and that was the turning point for me. So, sometimes I think we're so set in our ways that not that God wants bad things to happen to us, but he's got to.
Well, yeah. He allows it to happen so we get uncomfortable, right? So we want to leave. And I think what I was thinking when you were sharing was just alignment. Like there was not necessarily alignment in what you were doing and it wasn't centered in a peaceful way. And so of course you were having those arguments, disagreements with friends because you weren't meant to be there in that
Right.
capacity, right? So I think that's like there's probably a lot of people that are listening that can actually relate to that, where they're in spaces and they're like, should I be in this job? Should I be in this friend group? Should I be in this mom's group? Should I be in this church group? And you have a choice of either making a decision to walk out or you're going to go through the hard things anyways and ultimately make the choice. So I have learned to be more aware of the signs early on. So I don't have to go through the pain, right? So I don't have to go through
What's
all the
hard?
challenge. Yeah.
Like, when we're stubborn, it's just harder.
It's a great
So much
quality, but it has its moments like that. Yeah.
does, and we
Yeah.
learn from them.
Absolutely.
Um, okay, the other what I will say, this is, I mean, that was a personal story too, but this is even more closer to home. So our middle son, his name is Eli, um, was born in the middle of the night and, came out and he had blue extremities, like his extremities were blue. We had no idea anything was wrong with him. None. He was very quickly taken off. Um, and they thought he had water on his lungs. He was in the NICU. Um, it just so happened, I mean, My faith is strong. I totally 100% believe in healing. My husband, we his faith is strong. We're a family that loves Jesus with all of our heart and prayer and direction and all of the things. But there was a pediatric cardiologist. Um, and if anybody locally is listening to this, they pretty much anyone that went to a pediatric cardiologist during her time went to her. Like, she is so well known, an amazing person. She passed away several years ago. But like, crazy heart, would go to other countries and do surgeries. Just an amazing woman. It was Carol Cottrell was her name, and just was in the NICU. She was going to have knee replacement surgery the next day, and was just visiting her children and asked what was up with Eli. She ordered an EKG and an echo and found out that he had coarctation of the aorta, which is a kink in his aortic valve. I'm going to try not to cry again. If we would have brought him home, if they would have discharged him, he would not have lived.
Hmm.
God is always right on time. Because had it been one more day, I mean, she was so good. She listened to him and ordered those things. And nobody else had figured out what was wrong with him. So she called the closest place to us that would do a surgery of that magnitude on an infant was Cincinnati. There was an ambulance that drove down with an entire team in it, including a surgeon, to take him. And she talked to us like I'm talking to you now. Like, when she came and explained to us, because we were young.
Yeah.
Let's see, I was 25, 26-ish. I should know off the top of my head, but I can't think. But anyway, like, I think that those things can be scary when you're so young, but then I think you're also, when you're young, you're so still in that mindset of being invincible, and like, really negative stuff isn't, like, that kind of negative stuff isn't necessarily in your realm or wheelhouse of experience.
Yeah.
But I just remember her coming in and talking to us and being like, it's like a water hose was kinked, and we've got to go in and fix that. And like, I'm so visual, that totally made sense to me. She didn't use big words. She was just wonderful. And I mean, without God putting her there in that moment, he's going to be 21 in July.
Yeah.
And the best thing that she told us, and I shared this with a parent recently, was not to ever treat him any differently because of that. And like, unless you know his story, or unless he takes his shirt off and you see this scar, you have no idea. And even if you see a scar, it's like, really, it's on his
probably
side.
faint. Yeah. Right. Like,
But
gosh,
you would never know. And he's like, he went to her his entire, like, until she passed away. He went to her for his cardiologist. But
gosh, God is just so detailed, and
oh my gosh,
I just get giddy when I think about all the things that have to happen. Like, that's where I'm just like, in that moment, to think about all the things that had to play out that you maybe have thought of with your husband, or maybe you haven't, to get to that moment. But just to see her doing her best. And I've been having a couple conversations past pretty recently with people where they want to, and I'm not sure if she was a Christian or not, if she believed in God, but these individuals that I'm talking to are wanting to, like, do something big and show others how great God is and love people that way, and like give back what's given to them. And I've just been encouraging, those people of like, well, what are you already doing that you love? God is going to use right where you are in the things that you love to make an impact. And that's what he did with her. Like she loved educating and helping young children, right? Heart with all different heart things. And she didn't have to do anything different than just exist and just who she was and checking in and asking the right questions. And God knew that she was going to be that person, right? And so for
For
her
sure.
for her to be that was just super special. And again, like you said, like moving mountains. And I don't know who needs to hear this. And I often say these things where like I don't know who needs to hear this, because it's just a kind of call to action in a relatable way. Like, what is something in your life that you potentially are not sure if it was God or not, but you certainly know that it wasn't you. You know, you certainly know that it wasn't by your own two hands, because you couldn't have orchestrated that great. And just start thinking it back, like what would have had to actually get in place for that moment, that experience to play out the way that it did. And that's just what gets me giddy is just how intentional and detailed he is. And I was tearing up as you were talking too. There's just such a beautiful story and a beautiful moment that then your son gets to now go and bless others with, right? Just as by living, by breathing, right? By sharing God's love for him in that way.
Absolutely.
Mm.
Yeah, he is um he'll graduate in December of this year with his undergrad, and then he's going to go to physical therapy school. So,
So not surprising, right? Like he wants to help people
mhm.
because he was helped.
Yes. Yeah.
And like our actions and our words and just being good and light and kind, we never know how that's going to make an impact on someone. But if we do it because we care and we love people, then what we can trust is that it's going to make some sort of impact. We just, we don't necessarily know. And you've really talked about that, your whole career, and now getting to see your son follow in your footsteps in a way of doing something because of a challenging time and a challenging experience that he faced throughout his, really, really early years, and also like early moments here on earth. And gosh, I'm just excited for him and the lives that he's going to change, right? And get to touch and
Yeah,
experience. It's going to be really special. Mm.
I am too. He's also experienced a lot of PT himself
Yeah. Yeah.
over the years with lots of broken bones and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Yeah. I'm assuming your boys were probably active and trying
oh,
all
yeah.
the things and jumping all the things. And yeah, it's super glorious. I want to end with one question. I love that I have such a special place for boy moms, but I actually think that this question, you know, um, I love getting to watch boy moms, particularly. I know you were doing an incredible job raising your sons. You're teaching them to be men, and there's so many beautiful things coming from that. But I also think that your story can really resonate with young women. So I want to wrap up with, you know, we got into a little bit of your story. We got into a little bit of the challenges, the things that you navigate, the insecurities, the things that you are still authentically honest about pursuing and understanding and healing from. And that's huge, because you're not just saying, "Oh, I'm all better." We're constantly growing, right? Constantly evolving. So
100%.
if there's a young woman listening who is trying to find out, what she is and growing out of maybe some childhood challenging experiences, or maybe just growing out of insecurity and feeling like there's like, I know there can be more. What would you share with her?
First of all, don't give up, like, ever. Um, just because one door closes, like, doesn't mean that the next door isn't gonna be even better. Maybe it'll even have an ocean view. Like, I mean, come on, because that's the door God's gonna open, right? So just because one door isn't the door that you get to walk through right now, um, doesn't mean the next one isn't gonna be even better. Sometimes you just have to wait a little bit. But also, like, I think I've said this earlier, your past does not define you. Your identity is in Christ. Your childhood doesn't define you. My childhood doesn't define me. I made choices to become the person that I am today. I made choices to learn how to be a better wife or even just a halfway decent wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like hopefully, I mean, I've made choices to be a better parent. I make choices every day. And those choices lead me to tomorrow and help me learn. But your past is not who you are. Um, so never let anything that has happened, whether it be, and I understand that this is easier said than done when I start talking about childhood trauma. Like I
Yeah.
totally get that because like you said, healing is a constant process. But I just really want to encourage anyone out there that is dealing with that to not let that hold them back from who they are destined to become. Um, God doesn't want you in a box. Like he's gonna take you out of it and make you uncomfortable for his glory. My probably one of the best things that I did um was when I talked about that I wrote down, like, I want to do this, and then I want to do this, and then I want to do this. And then I wrote down how I was going to get there. Like, what am I going to do to make that happen? So, like, what are your goals, person out there?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I don't want, write them down and do not think about anything that anyone has ever said to you to influence what you're writing. There have been some really ugly things said to me in my life, but it wasn't about me. It was about that person. There were ugly things said to me middle school through high school, but it wasn't about me.
Yeah.
It was about that person. Um, so do not, when you're writing these down, don't limit yourself because of something that you've heard someone else say. But
So good.
so
So good. You know, it's really interesting. I love giving a little bit of myself in these episodes. Do you know that I was made fun of for my voice? Like when I was, I don't know, middle school, high school, like I got made fun of because my voice was deep and just that was why not? Why not pick on that? You know what's so funny? Guess what I do?
you have the best voice.
I have the best voice and I have a great, it is now something that God makes sure that people remind me constantly of like, love your voice, love your podcast, love that, you just have a great podcasting voice. And when we allow truth and goodness to come through someone's words and hold value in that, right? Versus allowing the negative potentially sliver of truth, right? Potentially sliver, but that's where the enemy gets in. He takes a very small sliver and turns it into an entire paragraph, 5-page, like cited source document that is true, which is not, right?
At all. Yeah.
It is powerful. And I think you're hearing today, ladies and gentlemen, a woman that in every single season has chosen to do better, be more, give more, hear the good. And not that you're perfect and not that you haven't allowed those things to happen, but we had such an incredible conversation today, but also when we first talked about just the work that you recognize that you are doing to grow and to continue to work through that. And so today you guys got an episode of someone that is in it, that has grown tremendously, but is also, Sarah, you're also willing to say like, hey, I'm still doing it. And I know that that's what's relatable about you. And that's what God's going to use, is not because you're still growing and not because you have grown, but because you're willing to be humble in the process. And that breaks down walls and barriers and keeps people attracted to you versus potentially keeping people not wanting to trust and have faith. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Absolutely.
I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I really, really did. Thank you. It's been an honor.
You're so welcome. And I I want to get into lifestyle questions because they're just as good as the question. I'm just kidding. The questions that we talk about are way better, but these are just fun, and they let me get to experience some personality side of things. And because this podcast, we're not talking about lifestyle all the time. What clothes to wear, what shirt is our favorite. We really talk about some hard and beautiful things. So I want to know, what is your favorite coffee shop? If you don't drink coffee, then maybe a drink or a smoothie shop or something that's in your area. And what is your go-to order?
Okay, so I don't drink coffee. I'm a little odd. I have tried some things lately outside. Like, I have something that I make at home. It's
Okay.
Hills Brothers,
Okay.
and it's white chocolate caramel. Like, that's the only one I like, either cappuccino, and it's powder, I don't know, water, right?
Love it.
But, okay, so I've been trying to broaden my horizon and order the same thing at some place, and I've got, like, it's okay. Uh,
I love you so
but
much.
okay, so but push that aside,
Yeah,
okay? So, I love strawberry lemonade. It's like it's just summertime in a cup. Like,
absolutely.
it's one of my favorite things.
Absolutely.
So, Dutch Bros
Yeah.
has a really good one, and I always get confused blended. Once I ordered it frozen, and I think that means, like, there's ice in it.
Oh, and blended is
Okay.
like,
Is how to order it, yeah. But it's good no matter what. I like it like a slushie. Um, so I get that there, and then we do have a local coffee shop called Purdy's, and it's not on the menu. Like, they have regular lemonade and lavender lemonade,
ooh,
but I always ask for strawberry lemonade, and they're like, "They don't have that." I'm like,
can
"Get us
you
some
just
strawberry."
make it?
So they will make it, which is great. So, that's usually what I get when I need it.
I really want it's so funny you brought up strawberry lemonade. My sister and I were talking earlier, and she's like, I had to get rid of some lemons. I made some fresh lemonade. She's like, Britt, my life has changed. Like, I didn't know how simple this was to make, and now I want to make it all the time. So now I'm like, I got to go tell her, like, we should do some strawberry lemonade. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I feel like strawberry lemonade is the Southern original, like, home cooked. Well, it's not cooked, but you know what I mean. Home cooked version of like what pink lemonade was trying to be in the processed world.
Oh, I totally agree with that, because
Yeah,
I drank a lot of pink lemonade growing up.
yeah,
Like, that
same,
was yeah,
same.
yeah.
Okay, what book is a book that you've read multiple times that you believe someone listening should read too?
Oh my gosh. Okay. So, I usually, read, like, true crime. We were talking
This is so good. You guys, I love that these two questions have like been plot twists in this entire conversation.
it's such a mess.
Oh, I
I
love
do
it.
love true crime. My oldest is going into law enforcement,
Okay.
so, like, we watch
You're supporting his future career, right? That's
all of
it. I
it.
get it. Yeah.
Oh, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. So, once you read one of those, you already know what happens. You're not gonna read that again, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, I'm gonna say, and I've almost feel like that this I was gonna be general and say the Bible, but I'm gonna be specific because I feel
Okay.
like that's like so. But I'll be honest, I've not read the whole Bible, so I really couldn't say that either. Um, but Proverbs, I have read several times. Like, I could read it every month, and I do feel like there's always something else. Like, I remember when I was a kid, my dad suggested that I do that. Like, on the first, read the first chapter. On the second, read the
Yeah.
second chapter. Like, do that every month.
So
And there is
smart,
all
Dad. Wow.
yeah.
That's so I was like, wait, because there's 31. Except you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that on like in February, but everything else
Anyway,
will work. Yeah. You should
yeah, for the
two
most
for
part.
1 month. Yeah.
Yeah. But I so feel like every time something new comes out or you can apply something different in your life, at that moment,
Absolutely.
always. So, if you're going to, like, if you're just getting into spending real quality time with God, because He does want that relationship with you. Like, He wants that one on one. He is your friend. He wants you to come to Him. He wants you to read His word and learn. Um, that is, and I feel like a really great starting point, um, and continuing point for that matter. But,
It's also they're
um,
pretty easy to read. Like if anybody doesn't
yeah,
know and they haven't read the Bible, Proverbs is just a book of wisdom. Literally, like not to be fancy, it is 31 different verses of wisdom that range from like don't kill somebody to like how to be a strong woman to like be kind to forgive. Like it's just a book of wisdom, right? And if you want to put it very plainly. And so if you insert that in your life multiple times throughout your life, I hope people are
it's
putting
good stuff.
together that like, huh, wow, this really could add value to me. Yeah.
We recently at our church, they just went through, like, we'll do sermon series.
Yeah.
Um, and usually we go like straight through a book. Like we went straight through Genesis, which was very eye opening. Just like how everyone is connected.
Yeah.
And
The genealogy.
usually I skip over, like, okay, this doesn't make a lot of sense, but it was really interesting. But the last one was of Proverbs, and a lot of it too. The last sermon was so good because it was really about your words and
Wow.
being like so many verses. And I had already underlined some of them that were used in last Sunday's message, but so much talks about our words, because our words are
Matter.
like they can cut or they can heal. Um, I I write speak life a lot because you can. Um, I even like I'm doing some doodles and making some like decals here and there, and that's what I'm like trying to call those is speak life.
That.
But because we can speak life or we can speak negativity and death into someone. So
I love that.
that's it.
And I don't think it's a coincidence that that came full circle, my friends. For those that have been joining us for this entire time, that like we started talking about words and value and what you say, and now we came back to words and value and what you say. I love cyclical talking. I'm very good at it. So Sarah, thanks for being here with me on this journey in this episode. And thank you so
That's
much. This was incredible. And I know that it's going to make a huge impact.
Thank you. I really hope so. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. You guys, as always, follow, share. Well, first off, share this episode with those that need to hear Sarah's story, that maybe need some uplifting and encouragement, maybe a talking to about their words. You never know how you feel this may benefit someone. But just share, follow us wherever you listen to podcasts, follow us on Instagram, TikTok, subscribe to this YouTube channel so that more and more episodes continue to come up for you. And I just know that we're blessing people every single episode. So thank you for allowing us to do that. Thank you for letting me be a steward of your story, Sarah, and of so many others. And as always, do good things, make me proud. We'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.